This is a Hanse 418 and it's a rather elegant sailing boat. So I'm going to give you a full tour of this one. We're going to do the deck areas, the cabin, the engine space, the lot. And we're going to start right at the back, because if we head around to the transom, we'll find it's a fold down bathing platform on this one. And that's really great because it means that if you're in a tender and you're coming back to your boat, it's a really easy step off and onto the boat. Also, of course, brilliant for swimming because that ladder there just unfolds and drops into the water. And that makes it really good to be able to get on and off the boat nice and easily. So we'll head on this way. You've got these seats here, which will lift up out of the way. And you can also see while we're here underneath, that's the shower underneath there. So there is a deck shower when you come out from swimming. And that fellow next to it is actually a manual bilge pump. There's electric pumps on here, of course, but also a manual backup. And then finally over here, you'll see how all these lines lead aft. So it's all controlled from this helm back here, but also there's a locker here so that you can get all your lines tucked away. They're not all underneath your feet. Twin wheels on this. There's also an emergency tiller that slots into this here. You just remove that stainless steel plate. So if you had steering failure, you can still control the boat. Engine controls are on this side, so when you're manoeuvring the boat under power, that's your throttle and gear shift and your engine start and so on. And you can see there's a multi-function display here in the centre. You've also got seats either side, as you can see, and that table then folds up, so it makes a big dining area around the cockpit table just there. We'll head around the deck first of all, and then we'll take in the interior. This is the navigation display again here. There's also an autopilot, and finally that one over there on the right hand side of them is the bow thruster control. Teak decks on here which look really smart. And then if we head forward, some quite nice touches like the fact they put this handrail on the outside of the canopy there. That works well. This one has got in-mast furling. You can have slab reefing if you prefer. And it also has the roller furling foresail out there, and it's a self-tacking jib, so that makes life nice and easy when you're out sailing. Big hatches on here, they're all flush, which is great. Not got a stubby toe on them. And we come right up to the front here. You can see it's got the twin anchor rollers for the anchors up there, and then down underneath here, that all opens up, and you can see that it's got the anchor winch underneath there, and the anchor chain also is underneath that fender. And look at the way this is all flow coated on the insides. It's all nice and smooth. It's very nicely finished. Let's pop that back. There we go. And we'll head back down this side. We'll stop and just take a look at the rig a moment. There we go. That's quite some mast, isn't it? That little cylindrical device on the front of the mast up there, incidentally, that is a radar reflector. That's designed to increase the signature of the boat from ship's radars so they can see you much easier. And that is a cloth because it's just been cleaned. It's not somebody's discarded sock. Let's go right back to the cockpit again. Again, you can see the way these lines all lead back to here. And these are all labelled so you can see exactly what you're dealing with there. Let's come right on back. And we'll step in down here. Now there is a locker underneath this one. But it's a locked locker, so I can't show you that at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, take that padlock off and you can lift that up, and that's just a space for your deck gear and so on. These lift up sections either side to make this a much larger table. And these are the washboards here. You can see how they drop away so that they're completely out of the way, but it means you never lose them. They're just there ready to rise up and use. These come up to here, and then that one slides across, and that secures the cabin. We'll head down inside. There are about 4 different wood finishes for these. So this is a light oak. You can also have teak, and there's a mahogany, which is dark colour, and also I believe a chestnut. So a lot of choice on this, but also a lot of choice in the layouts, and I will explain that as we go on through. So we'll start over here. There's a chart table on this side, and you can see all the switch gear is down to here as well. Stereo is here too, so that's where you can sit and do your chart work. That's a repeater for the VHF radio there, so it's a handheld unit you can carry with you. The main radio actually is underneath there, so that links remotely to that. And then these are all lockers all the way along here. This is quite clever. These lights here, you can see this is like a reading light, but in fact if you touch that, it goes off, touch it again, and you get red. So with these, there's a few dotted around the accommodation. You can see there's another one, for example, over there. But the idea is you can have these all on red and you don't lose your night vision when you come down into the cabin. But also, all of these have got little USB sockets in the base of them, so great to be able to charge up your phone if you're sat here reading or whatever. You have your phone there all charging up. Very good. Let's take that back to the white again. There we go. Now, one of the layout options concerns this forward cabin, because this has got its own ensuite. So it's the master cabin, and then you have the ensuite just here. So there's a toilet in there, and if you want to have a shower, that pulls out of there, like so. It's actually a fairly decent size, and there's ventilation into here as well. You can see there's a translucent hatch there up in the ceiling. However, if you prefer, you can order this boat without that, and what that does then is it brings this bed further back down the cabin. So that bulkhead there, which is fairly narrow, comes back a bit, so it's much wider. There's a locker in behind it, and it means you can sleep with your head up the other end. So if you prefer to be that way around, that's the way you can do it. It's entirely owner choice, of course. You spec the boat how you want it. Big hatch up above, that's an opening hatch, of course, and a skylight behind it, so tons of light thrown into here, and you've got these big windows on the outside as well. There we go. Ocean Village in Southampton, very nice. These are blinds that drop down over these. Again, these lights that we looked at that change colour are here with the USBs in them, and then these are lights which is for the overhead lights. In behind here there is a load of storage, so it's up here like this with a nice deep hanging locker and shelves, and then you've got it down here as well, like so. The owner's boots are in there. Excellent. So that is a pretty decent cabin, and certainly that ensuite, although it does compromise the bed very slightly, it does give you that extra degree of privacy, which is rather nice. Okay, let's head on back a bit further. These are on catches so that, there we go, it's magnetic. Those don't slop around as the boat moves. We'll head back down this way. So on this side, there is a large seating area all the way around there. Again, this table, you can see we've got one leaf down at the moment and another leaf up, so you can see how that works. And again, windows with blinds here. Handrails as well along here, that's what those stainless steel bars are. And tons of light pouring in through these hatches and skylights up above. These got blinds across again, incidentally, so if you want either privacy or just to shut the light out, then you can do. And then the galley is back here. Now this is where you start to get different options, because what you can have here is this galley, you can see, is the standard layout. There's a sink underneath here. You've also got a fridge and freezer top loading, and that's great because it means that as the boat's rocking around out at sea, stuff's not flying out as you open the door. However, when you're in a harbour, you can access it this way, which is a bit more convenient if you're not worried about stuff falling out. Gimbaled cooker there, that lifts up and drops away behind, like so. And then these up here are all lockers for glasses and other bits and pieces you need to keep in there, and a similar sort of thing just here. Now this is where it gets interesting, because this has got a 3 cabin layout. There's a cabin here and a cabin over on this side. What you can have instead, if you want, is you can have this exactly the same, but it leads into a wet room here, so it's somewhere to put all your deck gear when you come in and the coats are all soaking wet and your leggings and so on. You can hang it up in here, but it's also a shower. And what that means then is there's a bulkhead here, and that locker, the one with the lock we couldn't open, is quite a shallow one in this boat, but it's a much deeper locker. So it depends on your priorities. If you don't need 3 cabins, then you can have that wet room, you can have that bigger locker. But if you want the 3 cabins, then this is what you get. There's another version which has a bulkhead pretty much where the head of that bed is, and what that does is extend this galley. So that galley then, instead of being this long, goes back to there. So a lot of customization when you order the boat. You can really spec this exactly how you want it, for how you go sailing, how many people you go sailing with, how far you're going, and just tailor the boat to your own specifications. If we look back on this side, that then is the other cabin. So 3 cabins on this one. This you get regardless of layout, and this is pretty good because you've got a nice bit of headroom as you go into here. You've got an opening hatch here, but also an opening hatch up above, so you can get a bit of air and ventilation through here. And again, storage tucked away in places like this. More boots, serious sailor obviously. And then down underneath there as well. And then the last thing to show you at this end of the boat is the day heads. That's here. So this is the heads that get shared with these two cabins. And I think if you have got the two cabins back here sharing this, then that ensuite to the forward cabin makes a lot of sense. If you're going for a two cabin layout, you might prefer to lose that forward ensuite. This is a decent size, and you can see how this comes across, so you can have that as a shower area and keep this section dry. And again, storage underneath here, down around here, and in behind the mirror. So there we go. Those are your different options. 2 cabins, 3 cabins, or as I say, wet room on that side with another shower area. And the only thing I haven't shown you then is underneath here. This is the engine. So it's a Yanmar diesel. You can have either 40 horsepower or 57 horsepower. This is the 57 horsepower. You can see the battery is in here as well, automatic fire extinguisher and so on. And you might wonder, well, how do you get to the back of that engine if you ever needed to for any maintenance? Well, if I drop that back down and take you in here, you'll see there's an access panel there that you can take out and get in behind the engine if you need to. Very nice. That's lovely though, isn't it? I think that looks really good. I like this light colour as well, but as I say, it's very much personal taste. If you want a darker finish, you can certainly have it. Cool, let's head back up here.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that pretty much covers it. Huge thanks to Inspiration Marine, they organised this tour for me. They're the UK dealers. I will put a link to those guys in the description. And huge thanks as ever to you all for watching. We'll catch you on another one of these very soon. Take care. Bye bye.